Chapter 717. Never mess with voodoo magic. It starts with us in the living room. We were watching one of my favorite movies, The Princess and the Frog from 2009. It took place in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1926. And it was about a girl named Tiana who became an aspiring chef at a great restaurant. But the evil voodoo witch doctor, Dr. Facilier, plans to take over all of New Orleans with his voodoo magic by turning Prince Naveen of Maldonia into a frog and giving his blood to the voodoo spirits. The voodoo spirits give him a talisman in the shape of Naveen with which he intends to use to have Lawrence marry Charlotte so he can kill her and get his fortune. We saw the movie and how great it was. When it was done we cheered wildly. Me, that was awesome. Lori, it literally was a great movie. Lucy, but that Dr. Facilier was playing with forces no one should ever know about. Brittany, you got that right, Lucy. But if we do face Facilier, and I have a feeling we will be ready for him. Maggie, we will. Then the doorbell rang and Spider-Man got the door. It was Robbie Robertson of the Daily Bugle. Spider-Man, great to see you again, Robbie. Robbie, same here, Peter. The Bugle hasn't been the same without you. Me, hey Robbie. How have you been? Robbie, I've been doing great, JD. Me, that's good. Robbie, I can't tell you how happy I am that Jonah's in prison now. I never liked working for that man, especially since he hired Scorpion to kill Peter. Rhino, FYI, I was planning to kill Gargan by ripping him in half before Lenny sliced his head off. Lenny, sorry, Rhino. I didn't know you wanted to kill him yourself. Rhino, aw, it's all right, Lenny. Lisa then came down and she had a black fingerless glove with her. Lisa, everyone, I just completed my latest invention that can kill anti-fairies. Me, let's see Lisa. Lisa, I present to you the Death Gauntlet. It is infused with the acidic properties of J.D's poisonous blood that is powerful to kill the anti-fairies on contact with just one punch. Me, wicked cool. Lisa, care to have the honor of testing its second elder brother? Me, sure Lisa. I put on the Death Gauntlet and it was a stylish glove and it fit my right hand perfectly. Lainey and Jared brought down Auntie Wanda and Auntie Jurgen. Me, okay. Here we go. Auntie Wanda, southern stupid accent, y'all won't be able to think straight. Me, put a sock in it, you southern fried idiot. Lisa, the gauntlet also has many more functions than just a punch. Me, oh. Let's see here. I pressed a button and a large scythe blade claw appeared from my index finger knuckle. Me, oh sweet. I've always wanted to try this. Imitating Thrax, careful. I'm contagious. I stabbed Auntie Wanda in the shoulder and she started heating up. Then she screamed in pain as she bursted into black fire and was vaporized in an instant. Her energy signal disappeared completely. She was dead. Me, oh wow. That was awesome. Lincoln, you watched Osmosis Jones, didn't you, JD? Me, I sure did, Lincoln. Nico, Auntie Wanda, you have failed this world. We laughed. Then the alarm went off and we went to the computer. There was a supernatural disturbance in New Orleans, Louisiana. Me, looks like we have trouble in New Orleans, Louisiana. We better head over there and see what's going on. Team Loud Phoenix Storm, let's fly. Brittany, this looks like a job for the Goths of Darkness. Haiku, we're ready, Brittany. Maggie, let's do this. Brittany whistled and their horses arrived. They got on. Brittany, let's ride. Hi-ya. Then we were off to New Orleans, Louisiana. The Night Begins to Shine by BER plays. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. New Orleans, Louisiana. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. We arrived in New Orleans, Louisiana. Me, New Orleans, Louisiana. Home of Creole food and 301 years worth of history. Lincoln, I forgot how magnificent it is. Linka, Me too. We walked around the city. Me. Not only that, but the darkest day here was when Hurricane Katrina ravaged New Orleans in 2005. That was awful. Olivia, I can't believe that happened. We were over at the restaurant of Tiana's Palace. Me. Wow. What a beautiful restaurant. Lori, I would literally love to come here to eat. Lenny, it sure is totes amazing. Me, I would love to eat here too. We went in. And then we saw Princess Tiana. She was a beautiful woman. Tiana, Team Loud Phoenix Storm. It's truly an honor to meet you all and welcome to Tiana's place. Me, it's an honor to meet you, Tiana. Maria, it's so nice to meet the non-corrupted you, Tiana. Tiana, non-corrupted me? What are you talking about? Me, it's a very ugly and very complicated story. And it centers around you and the man we're going to kill, Facilier the Witch Doctor. After the shadows captured Naveen and returned him to Facilier, Facilier didn't want to take any more chances of losing him again, so during the Mardi Gras parade he asks his friends on the other side to remove Naveen's soul and place it in his talisman. With his soul as its fuel, the talisman no longer needed to be constantly filled with Naveen's blood, but doing so meant certain death for Naveen. Ray saw this horrible act with his own eyes but knew that there might be hope to save Naveen if they got the talisman to Mama Od. Ray swiftly stole the talisman from Facilier and flew as fast as he could to Tiana, who had run away to the graveyard, having thought that Naveen was marrying Charlotte. Ray finally reached her but wasn't fast enough to outrun the shadows. Tiana tried to help Ray but the shadows overpowered them both. During all of the confusion and scrambling, Tiana managed to get a hold of the talisman. Ray tried to tell her that it contained Naveen's soul, but he was killed by the shadows before he could. Facilier walked out from amongst the shadows and approached Tiana. He offered her her restaurant if she gave him the talisman back. Tiana refused and threw the talisman on the ground, smashing it, unaware of its contents. Facilier cringed as Naveen's soul escaped the talisman and began to circle Tiana and eventually went into her. Tiana dropped to ground. The shadows began to circle Facilier, preparing to pounce, but then stopped. They began to slither towards Tiana and surround her. Tiana regained consciousness just as the shadows went into her body and let out a blood-curdling scream. Facilier stepped back as her body began to change and mutate. It appeared as if she was returning to normal, but her human features still retained an amphibian-esque quality to them. She stood up and looked at Facilier. The shadows in her body could be seen wriggling around under her skin. "You," she said as she pointed at Facilier. "You killed him." Facilier backed up. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said hesitantly. "Naveen's soul told me what you did, and you will pay," she said as she started to walk towards Facilier. He backed up against a grave and once again tried pleading with her. She raised her hand to Facilier. "There is no future for you." Suddenly, a group of shadows burst from Tiana and rushed towards him. Tiana was horrified. "Tiana, I would never do the things that my alternate counterpart did. Gale, if we stop Facilier, those things won't have to happen." "Me, that's right. Facilier is working with dangerous forces no one should ever know about." "Brittany, that's right. Voodoo magic is an extremely dangerous force, and it's a force no mere mortal can ever fathom." "Lainey, that's right. I heard that voodoo magic is a very dangerous thing. If in the wrong hands, it can destroy everything. Its power is that terrifying." "Brittany, that's right. He's playing with dangerous forces. I've studied dark magic and mastered all forms of satanic magic. That's why I'm called the Empress of Darkness. But we have to stop Facilier or he will become a greater danger than anything we had ever faced." "Me, that's right. Tiana, will you help us and rid the world of him once and for all?" "Tiana, I would be more than honored. Let's do it." "Me, great. Let's go." We went into the cemetery and we were looking for him. "Me, stay alert. He could be anywhere." A storm was building overhead and lightning was striking everywhere. Lincoln, it sure is getting creepy out here. JD2, I sense a Shen Gong Wu. Me, which one is it? JD2, it's the shard of lightning. It enables the user to travel as fast as the speed of light. Me, wow. That's a fast one and it sounds very handy. JD2, it sure is. But its power only lasts a short time. It lasts as long as a flash of lightning. Me, that's about 1/1000 th of a second or 220 million miles per hour. 30% the speed of light. JD2, that's right. I'll lead you to it. A red laser beam shot out of the E symbol in the middle of my forehead and it led us to it. We found it in a mausoleum. Me, there it is. The shard of lightning had a sword hilt that had a globe wrapped in 3 rings. Omi, Tibetan accent, the shard of lightning. I picked it up and put it in my pocket. Then we heard something snap. Me, what was that? We went out of the mausoleum and looked around. Then a wave of shadow appeared and we dodged it. We got up and we saw our old enemy Shade, back from the dead. The Shade was a common thief who could manipulate the shadows with his cane. He fought both incarnations of the Flash, Jay Garrick, and Barry Allen. The Shade was later a member of an incarnation of the Wizards Injustice Society, Injustice Unlimited. They overcame the security at the International Trade Conference in Calgary, Canada, namely Infinity, Inc., and a contingent of the Global Guardians, and forced the heroes to help in some mayhem. The Shade took Fury to Athens and, with her help, stole a piece of the altar of Erebus from within the Hill of Ares, the Areopagus. After a brief brush with the Olympian, the Shade and Fury returned to Calgary, the Shade to share in the stolen wealth being gathered by the Wizard. But the plan went haywire when Hourman revived and freed himself, as well as when Solomon Grundy was brought in from the Arctic Circle. It was the Green Flame who incapacitated the Shade, and after the confusion he was taken into custody by Canadian law enforcement. Later the Shade literally kidnapped the city of Keystone City, including the Flash, Jay Garrick, and the city's entire population, into a parallel dimension where he kept his prisoners in suspended animation for nearly 30 years, before Garrick's successor Barry Allen rescued his namesake and the city from the Shade's clutches. After the events of 0 Hour, the universe was substantially altered as a result of Hal Jordan's plan to recreate the universe. The Shade was one of the individuals most affected by 0 Hour, as the time and space warping nature of Jordan's scheme changed the Shade's personal timeline and indeed his very being. No longer a generic villain with a magical cane, the Shade was now the morally ambiguous English gentleman turned immortal named Richard Swift. Shade's powers were reckoned as being internal and not based from his cane. Able to tap into a horrific alternate dimension of shadows, which he could manipulate and shape into whatever form he wanted, similar to a man of wealth. Shade traveled within the literary circles of the Victorian-era England, befriending author Charles Dickens and Oscar Wilde. As time passed, Swift began using aliases for himself such as Mr. Black, and went by Shade to those he was on good terms with. He also developed enemies, such as the mysterious dwarf Simon Kolb, who like Shade was immortal and had the same darkness energy powers as Shade. Other enemies included the murderously corrupt Ludlow family, who Shade had all but wiped out when the family manipulated Shade in order to murder him for sport, with the surviving generations of the family vowing revenge on the Shade. The Shade kept a lengthy journal and eventually fell in love with United States East Coast city of Opal City. Setting up residence in Opal City, Shade befriended Opal City's sheriff, Brian Savage, the scalp hunter, and slowly amassed a small personal fortune, while also moonlighting as a hired killer. The Shade fled back to England during the early days of World War II, to aid the Allies in fighting the Nazis. While on patrol with the British hero Captain X, Shade was ambushed by Culp when a bomb fell from a German fighter plane onto the two men. To survive, Culp was forced to seek shelter by literally merging with an unknowing Shade. When the age of costumed heroes began and unknowingly influenced by the malevolent Culp, Swift decided to give himself the name the Shade, added a the to his nickname, in 1942. Downplaying his formidable shadow powers, Shade committed crimes in various cities, most notably Keystone City, where he found himself a nemesis in the form of the Flash, Jay Garrick. The Shade would privately refer to his battles as the Joust, which he engaged in for the simple thrill of combat with another superpowered combatant. Despite his turn to supervillainy though, Opal City remained untouched by Shade as the villain considered the city he lived in off-limits. Indeed, the Shade has been known to be protective of Opal City, to the point of using his powers to kill any criminals who attempt to commit crimes in the city. The Shade even would engage in the occasional superhero battle, saving Howard Hughes from the villainous Johnny Sorrow. However, Culp slowly began to fight Shade to gain dominance of Shade's body, culminating in the Shade believing that Culp was alive and plotting against him, and ultimately to him and Dr. Fate teaming up to find Culp, never knowing that the villain he was seeking was inside his stomach. Shade would later team up with the Mist to murder the retired superhero Invisible Hood, though it is unknown if Culp was responsible for this act of murder. Jack Knight became the new Starman after the death of his brother David and united with Shade to save Opal City from the Mist and his family's reign of terror that threatened to destroy the city Shade had made into his home. Having returned to the United States and effectively retired since the Injustice Unlimited fiasco, Shade took an interest in Jack Knight and offered to mentor the man who helped save Opal City from the Mist. Jack would be privy to the Shade's diaries, learning much of his life and new backstory as well as his opinions on the various men who used the Starman moniker. Though many in Opal were distrustful of the Shade, he slowly won the trust of many in the city, though Culp, furious at how the Shade had rejected evil, finally assumed full control over Shade's body. Gathering an army of villains who Jack Knight had battled over the course of his heroic career, Culp, in Shade's body, cast a spell that allowed him to trap everyone inside Opal City using the shadow powers he possessed and began to destroy the entire city before Starman and the Shade, who ultimately expelled Culp from his body, opposed him. Ironically, it would be the Shade's former ally the Mist who would kill Culp, as Mist sold his soul to Naren to restore his mind, nearly gone due to Alzheimer's disease, in exchange for his killing the Shade. However, Ted Knight would sacrifice his life to save Shade and Opal City from Mist's final rampage. The Shade learned about Prometheus' conspiracy in ordering a series of attacks on various superheroes and informing this news to his old rival Jay Garrick. He then accompanies Garrick to the Justice League Watchtower to warn the other heroes, but arrived too late to find Prometheus already there. After Garrick was incapacitated by Prometheus, Shade was able to hold off the villain, as he is technically not a hero, meaning Prometheus has no file on how to stop him, and ultimately ends up stopping Donna Troy from killing the supervillain after he has been beaten into submission. However, Shade later creates a portal that gives Green Arrow access to Prometheus' other-dimensional lair, where the Archer kills Prometheus in revenge for Star City, the dismemberment of his former protege Red Arrow, and the death of Red Arrow's daughter. During the Blackest Night, Shade was in a relationship with Hope O'Dare, and claims that he is in love with her. After a night of sex, Shade and Hope are confronted by David Knight, reanimated as a Black Lantern. David rips out Shade's heart, but, due to his powers, he survives, unable to be killed and resisting the call of a black ring that seeks to turn him into another undead. After David threatened to kill Hope and later his brother Jack, an enraged Shade used his powers to trap the Black Lantern within the Shadowlands after decrying the Lantern as a mockery and a fake, saying he has no light of his own, and uses his own heart as a channel to bind and banish him. Afterwards, Hope admits that she loves Shade as well, and the two lovers depart from the scene of the battle. Possible futures. In one possible future, the Shades became the protector of a utopian planet several thousand years into the future, in which he still enjoys telling tales of his past. Me, Richard Swift aka The Shade. Shade, missed me, Team Loud Phoenix Storm? Brittany, but Jason and I killed you. Shade, and Facilier brought me back. And he gave me a few upgrades so I can kill you all so easily. Me, too bad you won't live long enough to use them. Nico, Richard Swift the Shade, you have failed this world. Shade fired a blast of energy from his cane at Brittany, but she avoided it. Shade, like it? It was one of the upgrades I told you about. Brittany? Okay. Now it's time to take you seriously. Brittany punched him in the face and Lucy kicked him in the stomach. I wrapped him in vines. Nico, you know what? Shade? I have a better idea than killing you. Shade, what would that be? Nico, throwing you in the yin-yang universe forever using the yin yo-yo. Nico used the yin yo-yo and it opened a portal to the yin-yang dimension. Me, give my regards to King Tut, asshole. Me and Nico threw him in and closed the portal, trapping him there for all eternity. We then saw Facilier come out. Facilier is a voodoo witch doctor who often uses magic and trickery on the street to con customers out of their money, and also has a shadow that moves independently and interacts with him. Facilier is first seen striking a deal with a bald man who wishes to grow hair on the busy streets of New Orleans. So Facilier makes it so by having the man's hair grows over his entire body, frightening both civilians and the man himself, while amusing Facilier to the highest degree. However, Facilier's joy is short-lived as he witnesses Eli Big Daddy LaBeouf, the richest man in New Orleans, gives a huge amount of cash to the newspaper boy after receiving the newspaper. The envious Facilier and his shadow look in disgust, knowing there must be a way to make themselves just as wealthy as Mr. LaBeouf. Later on, Facilier goes to a cafe where he overhears the waitress Tiana and Big Daddy's daughter Charlotte talking about Prince Naveen of Maldonia coming to town due to marry the latter. Facilier gets an idea from the information heard and an evil plan begins to form. Once Prince Naveen and his overworked valet Lawrence arrive, Facilier invites the two to his voodoo emporium, using his charming words that he was responsible for transforming Prince Naveen into a frog, after Facilier captures some of the prince's blood in a voodoo talisman, and eventually then gives the talisman, which allows the wearer to assume the appearance of the person whose blood is stored within it, to the traitorous Lawrence. Believing that the only true power in the world is money rather than magic, Facilier plans to have Lawrence pose as Naveen and marry Charlotte LaBeouf, the daughter of the extremely wealthy Big Daddy LaBeouf. He would then kill Big Daddy and split his fortune between himself and Lawrence, while secretly giving himself the larger sum. Facilier imprisons Naveen, due to the fact that the blood level in the talisman needs to be constantly refilled each time Lawrence poses as the prince. However, Naveen escapes, and Facilier is forced to make a deal with voodoo spirits to find and recapture Naveen in exchange for the souls of all of the people in New Orleans after he receives his fortune. Later, the voodoo spirits capture Naveen while he is with Tiana, who is also in frog form, and return him to Facilier, who locks him up and prepares to go through with his plans. Amidst the events, Facilier hides in the shadows waiting for the moment to kill Big Daddy with a voodoo doll just as Lawrence is about to marry Charlotte. However, Naveen's firefly friend Ray manages to save him and they stop the wedding just in time, retrieving the talisman in the process. Facilier and the spirits chase after them, and Ray hands Tiana the talisman before being fatally squashed by Facilier. As Tiana threatens to destroy the talisman, Facilier quickly returns her to her human form and plays on her emotions. He shows the girl her dream restaurant, he compliments her dreams and promises to make it a reality in an attempt to persuade her to give his talisman back to him. He shows her every hard work she has endured and doubt from others that she has experienced for years, which somewhat causes her to become vulnerable. When he shows her late father in struggling times, she becomes depressed and nearly gives him back his talisman. However, she regains her will and attempts to destroy the talisman anyway, but Facilier's shadow catches it in time and hands it back to its master. Reclaiming his talisman, Facilier then sinisterly laughs as he transforms Tiana back into a frog before using his staff to pin her down. He tells her that she should have agreed before telling she will spend the rest of her life as a frog, but this leads to his undoing. Using her tongue, Tiana takes the talisman back again and smashes it on the ground. With his amulet destroyed, he loses any means by which he can pay back his debt, as he becomes horrified while holding its broken pieces as Tiana hides just as Facilier's former spirit allies appear. He greets them jovially before they sing his song "Are You Ready?" as he frantically pleads to them for more time, stating he still had Naveen held captive as well, having him stuck in frog form. Despite telling them the truth, his pleas are ignored, and as punishment for his failure, his soul is claimed by the LOA as payment. Facilier screams that he will pay them back before he is dragged, terrified, into their world. Presumably, Dr. Facilier dies or is sent to an eternity in the other realm when the last glimpse of his face with his horrified expression was captured on a gravestone after to confirmed his demise. Me, Dr. Facilier. So we meet at last. Maria, give us one reason why we shouldn't kill you right now. Facilier, hatching a plan in his mind. Well, what if I simply pledge my allegiance to you? Nico, amused, this should be good. Facilier, Bo's almighty team. Loud Phoenix Storm. I, Dr. Facilier, the Shadow Man, pledge to you my undying fidelity. Tries to stab me with his cane, but he grabbed it. Nico, undying? That was a poor choice of words. Me, you think we were that gullible for your tricks? We may be warriors, but we're not that naive. Now prepare to die. Nico, Dr. Facilier, you have failed this city. Me, Spanish accent, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Lincoln, wrong movie. JD. Me, I know. I just like saying that. We went at Facilier and I kicked him in the face. Brittany, time for some special forces. Escaflowne intro theme of Fox Kids plays. Brittany had a special ring on her right middle finger. It was a purple-black ring with a crescent moon and a black gem in the moon, and it had ancient Enochian writing around it. She held it up to the sky. Brittany, angels of the twilight night, arise. A massive pillar of light and darkness enveloped around her and exploded high into the sky, and a portal appeared above us and we saw 6 figures appear. It was Reno, Tilly, Yuna, Riku, Tifa, Lockhart, Yuffie, and Carrie. Reno had angel wings that were as white as the purest light. Sora, Tifa, Riku, Yuna, Yuffie. Yuffie, Sora. It's great to see you again. Sora, same here. Yuffie. Tifa, hey Sora. It's great to see you. Sora, same here. Tifa. Reno, so you are the famous Sora. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Reno here. Tilly. Sora, pleasure to meet you. Brittany, we can catch up later. We have a voodoo sorcerer to kill. Let's get him. Our solemn hour by Within Temptation plays. We all went at Facilier. I punched him in the stomach and fired a powerful blast of energy at him, and it hit him and exploded. Kraboom. Tiana punched him in the face and stomach and punched him in the chest and kicked him in the face, and Nico fired a powerful blast of fire energy at him and it hit him and exploded. Kraboom. Reno unsheathed her gunblade called the Vanishing Star and she slashed him and cut his face with it and fired a powerful blast from it and it hit Facilier and exploded. Kraboom. Reno threw her silenced tear disc and it hit Facilier and it exploded into a massive burst of light. Tifa fired blasts of fire with her materia magic and they hit Facilier and exploded and he was on fire. Lucy fired a powerful blast of dark lightning and it electrocuted him and burned him, and Haiku and Maggie fired powerful blasts of black fire and burned him all over the place. Yuna fired blasts from her tiny bee pistols at a rapid fire pace and they pumped him full of lead, and Carrie kicked Facilier in the face and fired a powerful laser blast from her keyblade. It hit him and exploded with incredible power. Yuffie energized one of her ninja stars and it became a huge energy star and she threw it and it slashed Facilier all over the place with extreme ferocity. Lori called one of her spears and she formed a massive tornado and it sucked in Facilier, and Reno lifted up 4 humongous pillars of stone and Riku, Tifa, Yuna, and Yuffie got on them and Reno threw them into the tornado. They went into it. Reno and Carrie flew into the tornado and they all slashed and blasted Facilier at a merciless and ferocious level. We fired energy blasts and powerful attacks at him. Shannon fired a powerful spell that stripped him of his powers. Olga fired a powerful blast of black lightning at Facilier and it electrocuted him badly. Alicia fired a powerful spell at him and it destroyed his shadow that made him what he is known for. Lana bit Facilier in the nose and punched him in the face and knocked some of his teeth out. Hop stuck his tongue out and it slapped him all over the place. When the tornado subsided, Facilier crashed into the ground and the angels of the Twilight Night landed. Me. Time to finish this guy off forever. Combo time. Chase. G1 you got it JD. Cyber key power. The Velocitron cyber planet key was inserted into the back foiler and it enabled him to get jet wings and rocket boosters that enabled him to fly at 5,500 miles per hour. Gwen T. Giganteon cyber key power. The Giganteon cyber planet key went into her device and it enhanced her anodite powers 100-fold and it gave her the ability to fire powerful blasts of energy that can obliterate a whole skyscraper. Chase. G1. And Gwen T. Hypersonic energy slaughter storm. Chase flew around faster than a bullet fired from gun and Gwen fired powerful energy blasts and they all hit Facilier and exploded all over the place. Slug Slinger. Our turn Rhino. Cyber key power. The Earth cyber planet key went into his back booster and it enhanced his Cali burst target master gun and his speed to 75,000 miles per hour and he also can fire 50,000 rounds per minute. Rhino. Animatron cyber key power. The Animatron cyber planet key went into his device and turned his horn into Cybertron Backstop's horn sword and it enhanced his strength 1,000-fold. Slug Slinger and Rhino. Supersonic /Storm Stampede. Their speed and strength completely overwhelmed Facilier. Me. Now it's final smash time. Gale. I'll go first. Nightshade Acid Mist. Gale fired a powerful blast of black mist and it burned Facilier badly. Tiana. Time for some serious pain. Frog Bomb Rainstorm. Tiana rained numerous frogs onto Facilier and they exploded. Facilier was badly beaten. Tiana grabbed his talisman and shattered it. Facilier panics. No. No. Music and chanting was heard and spirits flew around us. Facilier. How am I ever gonna pay back my debt? 3 spirits appeared. Facilier. Friends. Spirits. Are you ready? Facilier. No. I'm not ready at all. In fact, I got lots more plans. Spirits. Are you ready? Facilier. This is just a minor setback in a major operation. As soon as I whip up another spell, we'll be back in business. A grave turned into a huge voodoo spirit and it grabbed him by the legs with his tongue. Facilier. No. No. Please. No. Lana. What's happening? Me. The voodoo magic Facilier used requires payment. Without his talisman he cannot serve them anymore. And now he must pay the ultimate debt to them, his life. Facilier. Just a little more time. I promise I'll pay y'all back. I promise. Me. Prepare to meet Cali in hell. He was sent into the underworld and the spirit's mouth closed and on a gravestone was Facilier's face. He was dead. Me. Yippee-ki-yay motherfucker. Nicole. It'll be a miracle if Facilier's spirit survives what the shadow demons have planned for him. And his spirit did survive and it appeared and Nicole sealed him into the book of vile darkness. Tiana. To the viewers. Facilier sure got what was coming to him. Never mess with forces no one she ever understand. Brittany. You said it Tiana. Nico also caught a Laren and a Meditite. We went home and Tiana moved her restaurant to Michigan. The end. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Another fanfiction complete. The Princess and the Frog from 2009 was an awesome movie. I never saw the movie myself but it was an awesome movie and Anika Noni Rose, Bruno Campos, Michael Leon Woolley, Keith David, Jim Cummings, John Goodman, and many stars were in that movie and they all did a great job in that movie. I got the lines for the kills from the box office bomb Osmosis Jones, Stargate, Indiana Jones, and the Temple of Doom and Die Hard 2. I also got the idea for Reno and the Angels of the Twilight Night appearing from Dead Fantasy in my books I write at home. Those were awesome movies. Nico-chan11 gave me the ideas for this one. Let me know what you all think. See you all next time.